Welcome to Roadmap to 1 Million. My name is Stacey Zeal, and if you're looking to make more money, gain your time back, and rapidly grow your visibility so that you can impact way more people with your brilliance, you're in the right place. This podcast is your one-stop shop for turning your online business dreams into a reality. My main goal is to give women entrepreneurs just like you the marketing strategies, guidance, and expert insights you need to hit that $1 million milestone and beyond. Whether you're a coach, a consultant, or an online brand that wants to make a big impact, Roadmap to 1 Million gives you the actionable strategies and inspiration you need so that you can implement right away, no fluff, no fuss. So CEO, are you ready to buckle up and accelerate your growth? Be sure to follow the show and let's dive in. Get ready to uncover your roadmap to 1 million. Hey there, fellow entrepreneurs. Are you doing all the things but hit a revenue ceiling? You're building an audience, you're creating content and making sales, but you feel like something is holding you back from your next milestone. If that sounds like you, it's time to take our What's Your Missing Marketing Link quiz, your go-to tool to identify what's missing from your marketing strategy that might be holding back your business growth. Whether it's fixing your funnel or diversifying your efforts, this quiz will pinpoint those marketing missteps and guide you to success. Take the quiz today and uncover the missing link in your path to 7 figures and beyond. So head over to staceyzeal.co/quiz because success begins with identifying and fixing those mistakes. So don't miss out. Your business deserves to have the impact you desire. Visit staceyzeal.co/quiz. That's STACYZEAL.co/quiz to get a detailed report and the resources you need to help you grow. All right, let's jump back into the episode. All right, y'all. We are back with another episode of Roadmap to 1 Million. I am your host, Stacey, and I am excited for y'all to be here. Today, we are going to be talking about AI, and we're going to be talking about this for a more thoughtful conversation because a lot of people are using AI and people are talking about, oh, what tools should you use for this? Or, what is AI? So if you're someone who's like, you've dabbled in it, you've used it, you've heard about it a little bit, and you're really trying to figure out, like, how do I integrate it into my business operations? How do I have that, have it to help me out with my marketing and all different kinds of ways we can use it? You're definitely going to want to make sure you're tuning into this episode. So make sure you are following the show. Make sure you're sharing it with a friend because we have an expert here, y'all. We have Coach Rocky, that is the AI expert that is going to help us to uncover how we can use it in our business to scale, and we can use it to really kind of make tremendous growth in our business. So before we start talking about AI, first, welcome to the show, Rocky. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm doing super awesome. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited about this conversation because, and I don't want to get too ahead, but I just started to just to figure out like custom GPTs and custom AI stuff, and I was like, ooh, we can get real funky with this.
I love GPTs. I love them. They saved my life, so I love them.
Yeah, I have a day blocked off in a couple of days to really be like, okay, I need to set up some GPTs for clients. But before we get in there, because we're gonna go, y'all, but tell us a little bit about your background, who you are, what you do in your business, all that kind of good stuff. So we have a little bit of context about your journey.
Absolutely. I've been in business for 9 years, 9 whole years. And I tell people my journey started because my divorce left me bankrupt. And I went on Etsy and purchased a funnel certification that somebody made that I could actually create funnels. I love to write, never created a funnel. And I got my first client making $1,000 writing copy for their funnel. And ever since then, I knew I was meant to be a business owner, not a scammer, but a business owner. Okay.
Come on, emphasis on
exactly, right. I had to do what I had to do, but I did end up getting more certifications, of course. I've dabbled into Airbnb, Turo. I've been a partner in a product, in a cleaning company. I've done so much in the online business space as well. And then in 2021, I became a certified prompt engineer by accident because I took a class to learn more about GPT. And I ended up signing up for an actual machine learning class. Yes, y'all, please make sure y'all sign up for the right classes. And me being the one that I am, I was not going to drop it. I spent the 6 months in the certification program, became a certified prompt engineer. And that, of course, is where a lot of my love for tech came into play. And so now with Conquer Your Ish, I basically teach entrepreneurs in the online space how to show up and show out online. And then, of course, with AI, how to be more productive, effective, and efficient, but not just with regular chat GPT stuff. I'm talking about purposeful AI. So I'm just super excited to be here to have a good convo with you today.
Yeah, I love that. I love the emphasis on purposeful AI because that really kind of leads me into the first thing that I wanted to talk about. Because like as you know, a prompt engineer and you're working closely with AI, and one, I love that you accidentally stumbled into a certification. It's like I just wanted to learn something. Now I'm certified, and now the price
Like,
is
oh,
going up because I'm certified. um, but so what are so I want to kind of set the scene for people. Again, y'all, this is not going to be like, AI 101. So if you're looking for AI 101, you don't know what AI is, you haven't really kind of like,
this ain't it.
dabbled in it at all. Like, I'm going to need y'all to just like, one, go follow Rocky because she has some great information about AI. But familiarize yourself with it because I think it's definitely something that's not going away. I think it's something that, even if I look at our business now, like, AI really kind of like had a big boom in the
Mhm.
last like year. And if I look at all the different tools we use in our business, I would say 90% of them have integrated AI in some kind of way, right?
Absolutely.
Or it's, or they're bringing it or figuring out ways to do it. I mean, y'all know I talk
Yep.
about ads all the time, and Facebook has definitely integrated AI tools into their ad builder and stuff like that.
Yep.
So so if you don't understand what AI is, you're really not sure what it is, this is not going to be an episode for you. But if you are someone who is like, hey, I'm curious about it, I know a little bit, I know a little, basic how it works, this will be a great episode for you. So let's start. I want to know, like, what is it about AI that most business owners don't realize can really really change their business until they kind of like get into it? Like, what are some things that you've seen that AI has been able to do for us as business owners that will truly revolutionize the way that we grow and serve our people?
Oh, let's just jump right into. Oh, she talking spicy, y'all. Let me just say that. She's like, let's just go right to the cut right to the case. First and foremost, if you are only using like tools like ChatGPT to write content, I'm just going to tell you right now just to stop. I love using it to write content. 60 to 80% of my content is AI driven. However, there's always large amounts of data as business owners that we need to process, that we need to understand. So think about competitor analysis, right? So you have someone that's in your industry. You want to gather maybe three competitors. I like to find someone, maybe a couple people that's ahead of me, someone that's kind of around where I'm at. And then, of course, there's always some underdogs that could come and pass you up. I then take that information that I'm using, whether it's their websites, whether it's their social media profiles. Some companies do have more info as far as like their funding, things like that, that you can find online. I take all of that data and put it into ChatGPT, and I start a whole analytical process to basically do a SWOT analysis to find out how my business actually compares to their business. And it'll tell me things like my strengths, my weaknesses, my opportunities, the threats. Where in my business that I can do better as far as like my products and my services. It'll also help with analyzing even my marketing positioning, my marketing segmentation, where I'm at in my business. And also, it'll be real with me and say, listen, you really don't compare to these people because they're doing X, Y, and Z, and you're not at that level. And so I think about the analytical part of it and how much data that we have to process as a normal human being. Let me give you guys an example. If you've ever seen the movie Lucy, Lucy is the movie where the girl gets the drugs in her body and then her brain is able to access a whole bunch of, information that she's never been able to access before. I like to think of GPT or Chat GPT as Lucy. And you're now able to access so much more information and process it so much faster to the point where you have no choice to be ahead of the game. And so that's one of the biggest ways that I love to use ChatGPT is just the analysis side of things. But let's also can I add another one of my favorite ways?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, so I love using it to be more efficient on social media. And so remember I said if you're using it just for content, you're using it wrong, right? So what I like to do is take screenshots of my competitors. I call them the ops, the opposition, right? I like to take screenshots of their content. I like to take screenshots of their comment section. And these are my competitors. They're doing something right. And so I will then go into ChatGPT and ask for it to build me a content and marketing strategy based upon what they're doing using my specific industry. And so I'm not asking it to copy their content. I'm not asking it to go word for word, verbatim what they're doing, but I'm saying to build me out a framework that I can now use for my industry and then I can use on the social media platforms, especially Facebook. And LinkedIn is one place that I'm really doing it right now, where I'm seeing significant growth even on my own profile that I really haven't used in the last year. And so those are my two favorite ways to use it. And then if I had to add in a third way, I created a GPT, which we can talk about. I call it Email Buddy. And so Email Buddy basically reads my emails for me. It can add things to my calendar. It can tell me the summary of my emails. It basically speeds up those processes. And I love Email Buddy because it's something I built based upon what I need. And I think those are probably the top three ways that I love using AI right now.
I love all of those ways. So to recap that, like the competitor analysis, I think that that is something that all of us need to go ahead and do right now. Because like I have a client who
Absolutely.
they have launched a membership, and it's like a membership gearing towards women, which there are millions of memberships out there geared towards women. And so what I did was, in kind of putting together their strategy and stuff like that, one of the things we talked about is like, how do we stand up to our competitors? And so
Mhm.
we went into ChatGPT and it's like, give me a list of the top five, memberships targeting, corporate women in the United States, right? And so then they can give you a list. I'm like, well, what is their positioning, right? Like, what are their marketing angles that they use? Analyze their headlines and their subheadlines to let me know like what kind of marketing angle they're going.
Absolutely.
What is the pricing, right? Like, how are they structuring pricing? Is it annual membership versus, membership, versus monthly memberships? And so this is the kind of data that's important for you to understand, because when you're thinking about how your specific offer measures up to other people, like this is what your clients are doing, right? They're comparing working with you versus working with someone else, or your agency
Mhm.
versus another agency. And so if you
Yep.
can start to figure out like what are my differentiators, because that's the biggest thing that after I got ChatGPT to give me a lot of analysis, I was like, okay, so here's our and marketing angle that we put together. Here are the messages that we want to talk about, and here's our structure. What are our key differentiators? Like, and one
Yep.
of our biggest differentiators was how diverse the membership is. Meaning like the founders are all diverse. Meaning women. Black,
Yep.
white women. Like it's very diverse, right? But there are other things that it kind of spit out as far as like differentiators and things that we can consider. So I love that you mentioned that competitor analysis, and that SWOT analysis is something that just became so much easier. Like you don't need an MBA to do that, to be able to figure this out
You
anymore.
don't.
You know, yeah, and I like that. You also talked about social media efficiency, because I think that that's one thing that a lot of people are not thinking about and not doing. And I'll even take it a step further and to say like, how powerful would it be if you were able to take all of your analytics? So like if you're going into business manager, you get a lot of
Mhm.
analytics about your Instagram performance and your Facebook post performance. What if you exported that data and put it in a chat GPT and said like, hey, can you analyze this and tell me what are the top performing posts from the last 6 months?
Yep.
What is it about those posts that made them top performing, right? Like, so there's so much that you can do when it comes to analysis, whether that's for marketing analysis, competitor research, all that kind of stuff that I think is just so important, that you hit on. And then the last thing I want to talk about is your email buddy. One, I love that because we before we kind of hit record, y'all. I just started to kind of like uncover custom GPTs, where you can essentially kind of like feed it some data, or your own like proprietary information, and
Mhm.
then have it kick some stuff back out to you. And so one of the ways we're thinking about doing that is with our clients, because we create marketing strategies for our clients. And I'm just like, well, how can we make this easier? Can we feed our data into Chat GPT? And then I'll have my team, or feed my mind, I guess I should say, feed my mind into Chat GPT. and make it so that
Facts.
way my team can go in and create strategies based on the past strategies that we've done before. So I love, like, that you said that you have an email buddy, because it sounds like, email buddy does something similar and it helps you with your email efficiency. So what, I think that we think a lot about automation when it comes to
Mhm.
AI, right? Like, because we're like, oh, we can automate tasks and stuff like that. But when we think about beyond automation, like, we started to talk about, or we talked about how we can use it for competitor research. But one of the things I think is really interesting that, and I would love to get your take on, is using it to make better decisions and to do more strategic planning. And so,
Yes.
what are some ways that you've used it for yourself or your clients to think about, I guess, like the trajectory of where you're trying to go, and to help you to make those strategic decisions that you need to make in order to get to the next level?
Absolutely. And so I'll just share with you guys my overall process for making better decisions. I use ClickUp as my main like CRM project manager. And so a lot of times when my clients sign up for different programs or offers, they go into ClickUp. And when they go inside of ClickUp, they're in these, they're in their own page, they're in their own section where I basically keep track of them. What I do from there is I have a custom GPT set up for my client profiles, which basically tells me like the clients there's dollars they spend over time. It tells me what products they actually purchase. It tells me how long they've been in my ecosystem, right? Because now I'm able to tell like who would probably be the next best person to buy from me. A lot of times as business owners, we always say, well, I have leads, but I don't know the status of my leads. I don't know really what my leads are doing right now. When's the last time I touched my leads? Well, now all my leads have a place, and I can go into a GPT that basically I can say, listen, based upon the last 90 days, who should I reach out to based upon how much they've spent? Let's just say they've spent over or less than $1,000. I want to reach out to them. It'll shoot out the names of those clients that I should probably reach out to in reference to seeing if they want to do something else with me.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go a little bit deeper into that. So let's just say I have three main offers. This is for someone who's probably in the service-based industry. You have three main offers, and based upon those leads who purchase, I can ask ChatGPT to tell me what offer is doing the best and why. And so you should absolutely plug in, the offer description, what things they get in it. If you've had any testimonials, I would probably add that information in as well. And then it'll give you that data that you need. And then I could also say, well, based upon the last 6 months, what offers should I focus on in the next 3 months? And so now it has all this data. Now, I will give a disclaimer. Some of the linkage when it comes to the automations just depends on your system. It might not have it there. However, you can add custom URLs. You can add knowledge base, like what you said with your strategies. The knowledge is the PDFs from your strategies. You can add all of that information in there, and you can tweak those GPTs in order for it to give you that information. And so now instead of me going into ClickUp and just scanning all of this data by myself and potentially missing something, because I'm human, right? I now have an assistant who basically helps me make those decisions. I call it my lead assistant. And so my lead assistant helps me make those decisions and tells me what offers I should make. And I'll just give you guys a real life example. Based upon me being sick, I had some family things going on. My lead assistant said it might be best to create something new. Crazy. It's like, hold on. Like, let's create a lead generator, right? And so that's also some of the context that I built into that GPT. Let's create a lead generator. And so now I'm in my head thinking, okay, what's a lead generator? What do I want to lead my people to based upon that? And I can ask it those questions. And so when I think about the future and how you can do better in your business, this really helps you analyze all of that data. But guys, where it starts is you got to have a place where your data is located. Even if it's a Google Sheet, you can create a custom GPT from Google Sheets. And so even if you have that data in there, you can do it from there. So make sure you have your data where. And when it comes to making these decisions, I can analyze the market. I can look and see what's going on. I can pay attention to my competitors. I can build out, I can ask it like, hey, based upon my competitors and what they're selling and what I'm selling, What do you think I should offer for the next 3 to 6 months? Based upon the market, right? A lot of us get these emails from newsletters. We see the LinkedIn articles. I like to download all of that and load it up into Chat GPT and ask for it to give me an analysis of what I should be doing in the next 3 to 6 months. Why not? The data's already out there. Now it can help me be more effective at making these decisions. And I think as business owners, we rely on ourselves too much that it's okay to have another, source to help us make these decisions. And so that's how I would use it. And a lot of the tools I use, my main one is ChatGPT. It's so robust. OpenAI has added so many different things in there. I'm teaching myself an Italian right now using a custom GPT. Like it's just so robust. And then they're also going to be launching something called Search GPT later this year, which is going to be Google's rival. Hold on, I need us to take a second.
Um,
Search GPT is going to be Google's rival, the top search engine. Listen, that's
I
all I
want to
got.
put a pin in that and I want to say it's such an important lesson. And I think about like keeping up with how technology has moved and changed because Google has been a staple in the industry for a minute, y'all, right? Like Google has knocked out Bing. They didn't knock them. I don't know if y'all remember Ask Jeeves, right? Like they done knocked out
Do you hear me?
everybody. But just because you are at the top does not mean that someone cannot come and unseat you, right? Just because you have been doing well for years and years and years and decades does not mean that you get to sit out from these conversations about AI and, making things more efficient and easier for people. So I love that you pointed that out because I'm excited. I've really just started hearing just like as of like a day or so, just started hearing about this, like, Search GPT and how they want to start to rival Google and stuff like that. And I just was like, damn, like not y'all coming for
Crazy.
Google.
It's crazy.
So making sure, but I wanted to, talk about what you were saying before, in that, like, I love that you said that we rely on ourselves too much. Because I think that one thing that's like, what you said is definitely important. Like we're going to miss things, right? Like I know I'm analyzing data, I'm going to miss things, right? But even going beyond that, I think that it also allows us to bring our teams and other people who we are working with into the conversation a little bit easier. Yep. Because then we can start to figure out like how does this go from my knowledge to knowledge that I can take out of my brain and share with my team or share with my clients. I've seen people who are putting like integrating AI into their courses where they can like like, hey, I have a question about something, or like y'all know I have a Facebook ads course where somebody can say like, hey, where's the ROI calculator or stuff like that. Like people are using it in such innovative ways to take their knowledge and be able to have other people to tap into it and to use it. I want to talk a little bit about like how do we protect that data, because that's another thing that I think that people are afraid of when it comes to AI, and I'd love to get your take on this. And that like people, I know a lot of people are people who are afraid of using AI, particularly like business owners like us who are really protective of our shit, right? Meaning people have stolen our social media content, people have stolen our whole, our whole websites before, right?
Like crazy.
It's crazy, right? It's wild. So how do we balance, this kind of like space that we're in now where we have to share our knowledge with people in order for them to be able to trust us and believe we can help them to get the result? But then we also have to watch out for those people who are trying to steal our information and, take our stuff and kind of, run with it. What do you say to your clients that are a little concerned about that kind of stuff?
The reality is this, right? This is the internet. This is an open source data. This is an open source tool. So open source basically means that it pulls from all sources to feed it and to make it smarter. So as you're giving it information, of course it's absorbing it. It's gaining it to make it smarter. And so the reality of it is this. There is no way for us to say, oh, okay, I put this inside of AI and it completely stole all my stuff. I'm just going to be very honest with you. I have to tell clients this. That's why I say I don't teach people how to write books using AI because you create a whole manuscript. Now that whole manuscript is inside of this open source tool, right? I don't teach them how to do those things for those reasons. However, there are ways in your settings that you can go in and you can turn off the data that you're feeding into it, and then you can turn it back on. And so when you're working inside, so you guys know when you go to start a new chat and you're working inside that new chat, you can go into your settings and you can turn off allowing it to analyze the data. And that's under your data controls. And that way it doesn't feed that information. I do that for some clients as well as some of my own IP. And in that particular chat, it stays the same. So if you want to go back to that chat, it'll tell you like, hey, you still have this turned off. If you want to change it, let us know. But as you move forward, you just turn it back on if you want to continue sharing that particular data. I always tell clients this because I've worked with some corporations and that is their main concern. I'm talking about big Fortune 500, 300 corporations that are like, we want our teams to use AI, but we don't want them putting our proprietary information inside of ChatGPT. And that makes so much sense. So building out something custom for them that has these limitations in place where it's not sharing it to this open source is really important. And I think for everyone to understand, just be mindful of what you're putting into it. I really had someone put a tax return. And I said, okay, listen, we talk about the good, bad, and the ugly, right? Can we?
Go into it.
Y'all, can we? And I said, why did you put your tax return in there? And the idea of it was understandable. They put the tax returns in there because they wanted to find the financial trends in their personal income as well as in their business income. And so it made sense to me. But I said, did you block out any of your private information? They said no. So there's tools online where you can block out your social security number, your addresses, your name, all those good things. Use them. But the purpose behind it was very clear. They wanted to do their own financial analysis, which is totally doable with AI. But you still want to make sure you're protecting your confidential information whenever you're uploading these documents into AI. So that's my 2 cents. I just have to tell people like there's really no way of protecting it because of Google, right? You can probably Google my name right now. You'll find that I had a warrant out for my arrest for a ticket I didn't pay. Okay, that's on Google. You can find that on Google. So I'm pretty sure that they'll be able to find some stuff that's on ChatGPT, but keep in mind that the differences are it blends your information. So you can go in and ask it a question very similar to something I put in. And now because of how you trained it, it's now going to spit out a similar answer. So now we both have similar answers. That is the main difference. So I always just tell people be mindful of how you're using it and just turn off that memory function or that the data control function if you don't want to share it.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned that we can turn it off because that's something I think that we don't fully understand, right? That we can actually tell it to stop analyzing our stuff. And yeah, like, ChatGPT is the tool that we primarily use with, our lots of our, I can't even go on and give you a list of all the ways that we use AI in our business. From things for like, client delivery to content creation to, all kinds of different things. There's so many ways to use it. And I love that you mentioned that we can turn those kinds of things off. We can safeguard and protect our IP. But I also like that you mentioned that, like, there's no way for us to protect this 100%, right? Like we are in an age where everybody's information is online. We're in an age where you can find out just about anything about anybody. And so, what I think people are afraid of is sounding like other people, is using AI and then having that stuff, you taking a post, for example, and putting it on your page and you sound like Sally down the street because she also used, a similar prompt that you got in that freebie that somebody gave you and everybody's using the same freebie, right? In the same prompt,
It's like,
and so, so what do you say to people who are looking to differentiate themselves, like who are concerned about staying different and still sounding like themselves while also being able to lean into, AI and using these kinds of tools that we know, as you mentioned, like they are pulling from everywhere and they are giving us, summaries of things. But like, so how do we do so that, it sounds like us and, our team, and to the point where our teams can then actually kind of use it to help us out with streamlining our content creation process, and even some other things that we do, like client strategies and stuff like that, like things where our voice and our tone and our brand, brand voice kind of matter.
So this is one of my favorite questions. And the reason being is because so many of us struggle, and I hate the struggle word, but so many of us struggle with getting it to sound more authentically like you. And it starts with, do you have the right brand assets in place? So your mission, your vision, understanding your tone, your personality of how you write your content. I also like to add in some celebrity profiles that you sound like. Apparently, I sound really good at Brene Brown sometimes, or Oprah. I don't understand it, but then sometimes I sound like I'm Young Miami from the City Girls. So either one works, right? And so really building out, asking ChatGPT to analyze your content, your web pages. I also get some text messages from my own personal conversations as well as some DM conversations between clients because I wanted to have a good gist of who I am professionally and personally whenever I'm having conversations. Like I say like a lot. That's my favorite keyword. That's my nervous word. And I also say listen. So now in my responses, it'll say listen. And I'm like, how do you know that? And it'll also incorporate the like too, because it's analyzed so much of my content. And then when you build it out, you can share that with your team and they can all work from that with creating the content, with creating the strategies. Like you mentioned, you do strategies. What I've been able to do is upload what I do. I take maybe 5 to 10 documents and I ask for it to build out a framework. And so based upon that framework that it now builds out, I can go in and say, here's the data or the notes from this call with the client or the transcription with the client and input this information into the framework. So now the whole team can do it. You don't even have to do it anymore. They can just take the transcription and now upload it and it fills in that framework based upon what you've done in the past. And even if it doesn't sound like 80% like you, here's what I want to say, y'all. It will never sound 100% like you. If I needed to free anybody from that expectation, I sure hope I did. It will never sound 100% like you. 60 to 80 is my good spot. So if you get it to sound like you in that regard, you can now add in some of those nuances that really says this is me. And that's how I would use it and share it with my team. And what I always recommend when ChatGPT gives you the recommendation on how you sound, your voice, your tone, your brand style, based upon all of that data you put in, copy it and put it in a PDF. And let me tell you guys why. What happens is that sometimes ChatGPT forgets. Okay, I had to whisper it so y'all I didn't yell. Sometimes it forgets. You can now upload that PDF to remind it, and it just gets it back into alignment. And what I love about ChatGPT, it says, "Oh, I apologize. I have now updated the information with what you provided." And so that's why I recommend just putting it in a PDF. You can share it with your team. And if something sounds out of alignment, you can always get it back aligned with what it is that you're doing. So that's my recommendation for those who are saying, I want it to sound more like me, but I'm just struggling.
Yeah. Yeah, those are definitely great recommendations, y'all. Like I've, well, it's funny, like so today when I was coming up with questions for you, I put in there, I was like, sound like Oprah. And she was giving like so these just like thought out, like you are a certified as a certified prompt engineer, you work closely with AI technology. What's some something about integration, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, that sounds real like Oprah, y'all. Come on, Oprah, and introduce it and have it like, you are such an expert. Can you tell us?
You are such an expert. You are just amazing. You smart.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. So, and I love what you said also about making sure that it's like, you're aiming for 60 to 80%. And I think that that's a, like, outside of just, using AI to help you to create content that sounds like you. I think that that also aligns with your brand as, when you're transitioning from being a solo to a brand. Because there's a
Yep.
lot of people that like, all of us, we start out as solo, right? Like we're writing all our content. We sound like how
Yep.
we sound, right? But then as you're starting to add more people to your team, you're hiring a marketing, manager or a marketing assistant or something like that, your brand voice starts to evolve. It starts to go from just being your voice to actually being the voice of your company, and that which is a collective of
Absolutely.
voices, and so I think that it's important to keep in mind that I would rather, have the content sound 60 to 80% like me than, waste 3, 4, 5 hours trying to get it to sound 100% like me. When I can use ChatGPT to get it to 60 to 80% within, a couple minutes, and so
Seriously, it's so relieving when you allow it to just be that way. It's so relieving.
yeah, it is. It is for sure. And one thing that I've done, is like I've taken like my podcast transcript and say like, hey, analyze this for tone. And like I say y'all all the time. So now all my prompts say, hey, y'all. And I'm like, I'm like, do I say hey, y'all all the time? But I realize I do say hey, y'all all the time. And so it sounds more, maybe 90% like me, I guess, rather than.
It does. Like listen, and like when I start reading it, I'm like, who are you? Like, this is stop it. And then I start getting self-conscious. Like, I'm not gonna say it.
You know what? I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't be self-conscious about it. I was literally, and I thought about it when you first said it, so I'm glad you resaid it. When I'm listening to a book, and it's called Permission to Speak, and I'll link it in I can't remember the author's name, but I'll link it below. But one of the things she mentioned in the book is that people think that the word like and like listen and like these kind of like an and stuff like that are negatives, because that's what society kind of tells us they're negatives, because that's what women say, per quote unquote. But what she said that she found when she was like looking at different studies about speech and stuff like that, and that people who say and like and stuff like that, they're doing it not because they're nervous, but they're doing it because they want you to understand. So it's more so like, I'm pausing to make sure that I can like say it in a way that'll get you to understand what I'm trying to say. Because we as women, when we speak, we're naturally looking for that connection. We're naturally looking for someone to understand what we're saying. And so when we say like and listen and those kinds of words, it's not necessarily negative, because that's kind of what society teaches us. It's more so us looking for understanding. And I thought that was really impactful to help me to reframe because I say like all the time and that kind of stuff. But when I think about it, I really am looking for understanding, and I'm making sure that what I say is actually, I'm saying it in a way that you can actually receive it and get the message, rather than just like kind of saying something at you and just, whether you pick it up or not. So
gotcha. Hey, listen, she didn't coach me on this podcast.
It's a good book. It's a really good book. And I can't, like I said,
got me together. I am Permission to Speak. So I'm going to definitely download it. I'm always looking for ways to improve when it comes to communication. So I love the idea of it. And any way I can change my mindset, I'm ready.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest shift for me. It was more a mindset thing, right? Like, because we're already doing it. If you think about the many times you say like, it really is for understanding. It's not because you're like, I mean, sometimes it may be because I'm stuck and I'm trying to think, but like most of the time it's like, how do I say this in a way that connects with people? But anyway, let's get back on track. So I want to talk. So one more last question, because what I wanted to talk about today is what are really kind of like, some people are a little like resistant, really kind of like to using AI to its fullest capacity, right? People are like, oh, I'll use it to give me some social media content ideas. But a lot of people are a little bit fearful of integrating into their business because of some things that we talked about earlier. But one of the things I think that we hadn't really addressed yet is really just figuring out, like, how do we maintain that connection and that humanness, human kind of connection with our business, our team, and things that we're doing when we have AI so integrated into our business, right? Because if I can get I can get AI to spit me out something in 5 seconds, right? Like, does that reduce the need for me to have conversations with people? And so, like, what are some things that, people need to keep in mind as they're thinking about, making sure that they maintain that humanness and that connection in their marketing and their operations and their business, just kind of in general, if they're using AI in a heavy way, like we are?
Absolutely. First, let me speak to the fear part of it. When it comes to fear, we fear the unknown because our brains aren't trained on the unknown. They're only trained on the things that we're used to doing, right? And so sometimes I don't want to try a new type of coffee because I don't know how it's going to do my stomach. And I know how the one I drink every day is going to do me, but a new one, not so sure until I actually do the thing. And then once I do it, I now have a new dialogue, a new story to go based off of. And so a lot of times we're afraid of things that are unknown because we haven't really created a new story based on experience. And so for anyone who's afraid of using it because it might replace them or it might kill their voice, if anything, it's going to make you so much more efficient so you can spend more time on the connections with your employees, on the connection with your team members, because I now can get things done so fast that I can check in with my team and say, hey, how are things going today? Do you need any help today? How can I support you? How's the family? Because I'm just able to get things done quicker. And so I had to overcome that fear of it's not going to replace me. It's just going to enhance me or amplify me. And so when I think about the connection piece of it, find something fun to do with your team. This is my recommendation. I love teaching corporations how to use AI for fun. And one thing that we did, we created a recipe GPT. Okay. And so everybody had to create a recipe GPT, which gave them some funky recipe that they can make at home. And then they could share it with their team what they did. And they laughed about it because there was one with like gummy worms and chocolate chips. And somebody's like, I'm not going to eat that. My kids might, but it was something fun that they can do. Another idea that we used to build that connection was an affirmation one. We built a team affirmation GPT where every day they go in and say, what's my daily affirmation that I can share with my team? And now there's an affirmation that they're all sharing in the group chat with each other. They're talking about it. And it really helps like with the connection piece, right? But let's talk about overall connection and humanness. I'm gonna just be real. If it ain't in you, it ain't in you. Okay. If you're not a people person, AI, you can't blame it on AI. If you have a team or you have contractors or you have employees or whatever it is that you're working with people, you have to choose to people. If you don't want to people, AI is not going to make you want to people or people less. If anything, most of the people who are really like heavily involved in it, they found ways to do more with their people or give back more to their people. And so think about how you can stay connected. If you're using it, I will say this because I'm one of the ADHD teamers. I will start building something and forget hours later what I'm doing because I'm just so engrossed in what I'm doing, right? But I put levers in place. So I have time checkers tell me like, hey, get off the computer or stop doing what you're doing, check in with your people. If you need that, do it. Don't be afraid to check yourself. But I will also just add that connection is intentional. It's an intentional act. If you don't put the work in to intentionally connect with your team, your employees, your contractors, and really just make those connections, it doesn't matter if it's AI or not, they're not going to be, they're not going to be team anything because you're not a people person or you're not making those connections with them. So if you have any fears or if you worry about any connections, find a fun way to connect with your people using AI, and then you all can share it together. And I promise you'll always get a good laugh.
I love that. I love AI for fun. I hadn't really, considered that, but I love
Girl, we do recipes, we do
that.
workout plans. I have one that's called Learn the Bible in 1 year.
Uh-huh.
And I use it in one of my communities. Girl, we got all kind of GPTs that we've built just to have fun.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That is such a great point. And I love that that's such a great way to end on because we start to think about like, okay, I can use it for my marketing, I can use it for my business. But yeah, like how do we use it for team building? How do we use it to, build relationships and connection points and stuff like that? I was at a happy hour with my girlfriends not long ago, a couple weeks ago, and we were just kind of like we always kind of get together and work in happy hour or work in brunch and stuff. And so I had my laptop out, was finishing up for the day, and we were like, my best friend wanted to go to the grocery store, and I was like, oh, I gotta go as well. And she just was like, I don't know what to make my kids for dinner. And I was like, oh, let's figure this out. What do they like to eat? So we had a good laugh, just kind of like us four sitting there talking about the things that her kids like. And she's like, oh, they don't like this, they don't like that, they don't like that. Or, like, so it was fun to just kind of put that in and say, well, the kids don't like meatballs. Like, what else can we do? Right. Like,
Yep.
so it is a way for you to kind of like build that connection with people. And like you said, like, if you're a people person, then, probably you're going to find ways to use it with other people. But if you're not really a people person and you want to be, then maybe the investment is figuring out how to become more of a people person. And then you can figure out how to use AI in different kinds of ways. So I love that you talked about the root cause of that. So, we've learned a lot today, y'all. We have learned a lot of ways that we can use AI across our businesses to help us grow. And with AI, it's changing all the time. The landscape is always, changing, and it's always shifting. And there's always, I know when I talk to someone who's an expert in AI, I always find new ways to use it, and, different ways to like kind of spark ideas. So would love for you to tell everybody, Rocky, how they can work with you if they want to, continue the conversation, or how they can connect with you if they want to learn more, all that kind of good stuff. Give everybody your info so they can connect with you further.
Absolutely. Well, you guys can connect with me on my website. It's conqueryourish.com. However, I have an awesome AI community where I teach my members how to use AI in a purposeful way. And so a lot of what we talked about here today, we have a monthly workshop where I just basically break down AI in a way that makes sense, right? How we can use it for everyday use. And then next month, I am hosting a masterclass called Conquer GPT. Yes, Conquer GPT. It is in alignment with everything that the Conquer Your Ish brand is all about. And basically, we're going to be creating our own GPTs specific to our businesses when it comes to the different things that we need. I mean, if you're thinking about content creation, automated emails, LinkedIn content, or Facebook content, the fun GPTs that we talked about, or even just marketing tools, we're going to spend 90 minutes building out a GPT, and I'm also going to be sharing all the links for the GPTs that we build so the attendees can have an arsenal of GPTs, and that will be taking place next month. We will have the link attached in this episode. I can't wait because this is my first time actually showing people my arsenal of over 30 GPTs.
Oh, 30.
Yes.
Come on, 30.
And I used them all. And I've built some for clients privately. I've never publicly sold them, but I've sold them to like coaching clients, consulting clients, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Just building." So now I'm in a place where I'm ready to have this masterclass and show other business owners how they can build their own GPT and be purposeful.
Yeah, I love that, because that's definitely something that I see on our roadmap, because I was like, ooh, I got a couple ideas for some paid GPTs that we can use, but I'm gonna test this out. I'm gonna we're gonna test it out internally first and figure out if this works, and then we'll put it out there.
That's the key,
so
testing.
Yeah, so let me make sure I check out the link of the masterclass, because I might need to come and build mine out too. But y'all, this has been such a great episode. Thank you so much, Rocky, for coming on and sharing such great information. Make sure that if y'all are looking to connect with Rocky, or you want to get more information about what we talked about today, head over to the show notes, because we're gonna have all her links there, the link to the masterclass and all that kind of good stuff, just as well as like social links and those kinds of things if you're looking to work with her even further. But if you are new here, please make sure that you have followed the show. We have new episodes on Tuesdays. If you are seasoned and you've been here for a while, thank you so much for coming back. I would really appreciate it if you shared this episode on social, tag me in it so I can see, what your ahas are. Otherwise, I will talk to y'all on the next episode. See y'all next week. OMG, that episode was packed with gems. Are you ready for more? Head over to stacyzeal.co/podcast to get the show notes and to sign up to get our top 5 podcast episodes to help you streamline your marketing so you can make this your $1 million year. Head over to stacyzeal.co/podcast.